We can go even more in details by checking the events. So from the alerts, we are moving from a general overview of the endpoints to what is happening in this moment, what is running in this moment. As for example, as you can see, just a few minutes ago, this process, the Google update, terminated. So the idea behind the structure of the presentation is to give you the concept of drill down of how you can use ReaQta to go from the infrastructure to the specifics. We saw the events. Let's see how the events are classified. We can have events not belonging to the Mitre framework and events that are particularly significant, mentioned and belonging to the Mitre standard that are presented in this page. So in this page we can have an overview of all the things that are happening that belongs to the Mitre attack framework. Of course, this do not mean that we are dealing with something malicious, but that this belongs to the TTPs, to the events that can be standardized according to the Mitre. And the representation that we have is based on the matrix itself. On the left side, we have the tactics that, as you can see, follow the cyber kill chain. And on the other side, so on the right side, we have the techniques. So for each tactics, we have a number of techniques. If I'm going to check, for example, what is going on, what is happening in terms of the tactics execution, we see a number of zeros, but then also PowerShell with this indicator 31 and an increase of 122% on the average of events observed. So let's see how an event looks like. By clicking on it, we are triggering a threat hunt. The threat hunt is another core aspect of ReaQta because it's allowing us to investigate, search, filter all that we saw on that specific endpoint. So the process terminated can be generalized to the entire infrastructure, to a specific event, and to a specific one or more group or customers, because we can use ReaQta into modes. There are two flavors of ReaQta: the non-MSSP one, where you have one single customer per instance, and the MSSP one, that is the multi-tenanted version, so you can search across multiple customers. What happened there is that by clicking on the PowerShell card technique, it triggered an hunt for all the events classified as technique T1086. And the representation that we have is the typical forensics one. So we know when this happened, where this happened, the endpoint, what specifically happened. If I'm going to click, for example, on the first one, we have a number of details. We can see, for example, that this PowerShell has been executed by Compatl Runner. Compatl Runner basically runs the telemetry. So very likely this script it's used for telemetry purposes by Windows itself. But we can get also additional interesting indications, and those indications are attributes of the process in real time. So compared to just looking at the file, we have additional elements, like for example the privilege level. This PowerShell is running with system privileges. To give you an idea why this is important, a few years ago, by doing this same exact query on a customer, we discovered that they had a PowerShell script running as a system, so acting as a server, and for years they were not aware of this PowerShell. You could have leveraged this PowerShell instance to perform a task with the higher possible privilege level. In this case, for example, we are in the same situation. PowerShell running with system privileges. By checking more in details what specifically this PowerShell did, we can click the Attack Details tab. So an event to go more in the generic is a collection of information. You can consider it as the atomic information of ReaQta. It's contained in the events. So in the events, we have the process performing the activity with dynamic attributes, the one of the process itself running, a number of information related to the file itself, so the path, the various hashes, the architecture, designer, and so on, and what specifically happened. So in this case, it's a MITRE attack technique composed by those data. It's execution tactic, and the PowerShell executed was collecting some information, as you can see from the complete command line. So we have this powerful instruments, that is the threat hunting, that will help us to investigate. For example, if I click, for example, on this plus button, we have a number of possible parameters that we can use, and we can chain together in AND or not, and filter by, for example, specific events. Let's see, for example, all the account logged on failed. So I'm searching for in the entire tenant called LDS Consulting. It's a fictional one. It's all demo data, of course. All the times that we recorded an account logged on failed, and we can see that the latest one happened the 28th of February for this specific endpoint. So I can filter the information and search for all the account logged on failed for these specific endpoints. This to give you an idea of how the threat hunting can be leveraged. Let me give you an additional example. Let's see all the process that has been created by this always the same machine. This machine, for example. As you can see, we have the list of the processes that has been created,